scorn on this show, but has just shoved it right back in our face, and that's Cam Akers, who just scores touchdowns for fun now.
I mean, it's so weird. Cam Akers was a preseason fade for me, right? He was on my preseason hate list. And I was smart for about 13 weeks. Cam Akers was awful for like the first three-fourths of the season. Just absolutely brutal. And then ever since week 13, he's been great, right? I mean, he's got 6 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks, as you see it there on your screen. And he's had over 100 yards from scrimmage each of the last 2 weeks, topping off with the 25 for 147 and 3 touchdowns against the now Nathaniel Hackett-less Broncos. He's played at least 73% of the snaps and had 15 touches in 3 of the last 4. So the volume has been there for Cam Akers. And you think about both the Chargers this week and then Seattle next week, both of them bottom 5 run defenses in terms of most rushing yards allowed to running backs this entire year. You can run on both those guys, despite the fact that the Rams are like on, I think, their 400th different version of their offensive line. Cam Akers seems to be the guy people drafted, and not like, I hated Cam Akers in the preseason because I'm like, he hasn't been, we talked about this, Jay, you and I talked about this. He hasn't been good. He, coming back from the injury, we have concerns about the offensive line. They've got Darrell Henderson there. They've got, kind of a committee in LA. And so all that was right. And he's traded, he's released, whole thing. But now it's Cam Akers' world. We just live in it. He's available in over 30% of Yahoo leagues. And obviously if he's out there, he's a must grab.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if it's a funny thing, but the thing is that there would have been a lot of people who drafted Cam Akers thinking that he could be the guy he was pre-injury, and then they would have dropped him, and then they would have lost their fantasy playoff matchup this weekend because of Cam Akers, because someone picked him up off the waiver wire. And that's a pretty good summation, I think, of how Akers' season has gone. And McVay is talking about how they want him to be a big part of the future now. So you're right, it is Cam Akers' world. It's also Tyler Allgeier's world.
The better question, by the way, is Sean McVay part of the future?
Yeah, I think he will.
I mean, it's just like, if you're Sean McVay, I've got my Super Bowl ring. I'm young, and I can either sit here and try to rebuild this thing because we've got no picks, and it's all a disaster. We've traded away our entire future. Or I can go to, like, Amazon for, like, $22 million a year and just, criticize other people from the booth.
He's got Baker Mayfield.
I mean, I don't know if a TV job is out there for him with that kind of money that he was being offered, but I would think so. Like, he's very charismatic. He's really well spoken. He's highly intelligent. Obviously, he's good on TV. Like, anytime you see an interview, like, he's super likable. I've met him a handful of times over the years. He's as likable and personable in person as you would think he is. Like, what you see on TV is what he is in person. Like, he's great. Like, I don't know. You're just married, dude. Like, I don't know. It's hard to turn that down, is all I'm saying, right? So.
Sean McVay's got a lot of choices that all sound pretty good. I don't think Amazon's going to pay Tyler Allgeier $22 million, but he might win some leagues for you. Tyler Allgeier has more rushing yards this season than Ken Walker. I just found that out last night, which is a really weird thing. But Allgeier has been on a tear the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that, like, we talked about him last week as well on Fantasy Football Happy Hour about the fact that, like, he's playing more than Cordero Patterson, and so we talked him up a little bit. And certainly, as you mentioned, the work has been there. Back-to-back games now with over 18 touches and over 115 total yards, 59% snap rate last week. He outsnapped Cordero Patterson 42-26, which you like that. And now he gets the Arizona Cardinals, who have allowed over 100 rushing yards to running backs in 3 straight games. They obviously, as we talked about with Mike Florio last week, we said, hey, what's the expectation with Desmond Ridder now under center in Atlanta? And Florio was like, the same. Arthur Smith wants to run the same offense, just hopefully a little bit better, more efficiently. And that's what it appears has happened with Desmond Ridder. Like, it's still been very run-centric and very run-heavy, protecting the quarterback, not really exposing him. But Desmond Ridder has looked, again, and this is sort of damning with faint praise, but Desmond Ridder has looked better than Marcus Mariota. To the extent that's a compliment, he has, right? And so they are moving the ball. And Tyler Allgeier, the rookie, is suddenly like, yeah, he's become a thing. He's available, by the way, in over 50% of Yahoo leagues. So assuming Cam Akers is gone, Allgeier is my number 1 pick for this week. You like him against Arizona, and you're not scared about Tampa Bay in Week 17. I mean, we just saw what James Conner did with Trace McSorley under center against them last week.
Yep. Let's jump to another rookie running back now in James Cook, who's available in 48% of Yahoo leagues. He had 11 carries, 99 yards against the Bears, and now is in this blockbuster matchup against the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a little bit nervous to me. Like, James Cook should be good. Like, I believe in the talent. And getting a piece of the Bills' offense is really good. And if there's a positive in James Cook, it's the fact that he's had at least 11 fantasy points in 3 of the past 4 games. He's playing 40% of the snaps over that stretch. He's had over 100 total yards in 2 of the past 4. But you see that Week 14 game against the Jets where he only got 5 touches for 15, right? And you think about that Week 15 game against the Dolphins where he only got 7 touches for 39 yards. He bails you out with a touchdown. But it's hard to expect that. Like, it's weird, right? And even last week, he had 108 yards, but a lot of it came on one big play. He only had 12 touches in that game. And so given the fact that you've obviously got Devin Singletary there, Josh Allen, as we saw last week, is always a threat to also take it at the goal line. Josh Allen had a rushing touchdown last year. And you still see like a handful of snaps from Nyheim Hines. Like, it just – you're banking on the upside and the fact that he's a part of an explosive offense. And they're going to need to score points on Monday night against Cincinnati. But this is not without risk. Make no mistake about it. Like, if James Cook has, 5 touches for, 22 yards on Monday night against the Bengals, I'm not shocked, right?
Yeah, potentially a higher floor for your star-crossed lover, Mr. Cuba Hubbard, who continues to just cook and now gets a matchup against Tampa Bay, an NFC South potentially deciding blockbuster. How do you feel about Chuba this week?
You know what? What's crazy about Cuba Hubbard is that the volume, as we talk about volume, and we talk about James Cook, whose volume is, hasn't totally been there. With Cuba Hubbard, as you see it there, massive volume. Massive volume. I mean, the two of them, they're running it like, again, he's, 16 rushing attempts to just 31, but also getting 3 receptions. So, I mean, he's averaging basically double-digit touches over his last 2 weeks. It's worth noting as well that over the last 2 weeks, he's outsnapped Deontay Foreman. He's had 4 straight games with over 65 yards from scrimmage as well. They want to go run heavy. I mean, this is a team that is running the ball at just an insane rate. And so Chuba Hubbard, like Deontay Foreman's already there, but again, against Tampa Bay, I think you can run in Tampa Bay and just the volume gets you there with Chuba Hubbard. So I think he's a viable flex. I think both him and Deontay Foreman, like I prefer those guys as flexes just because they've run so effectively. Like, I was shocked. I mean, I just own this. I was shocked at how well they ran against Detroit. The Lions have been a top 5 run defense over the last 6 weeks or so. And Carolina was just like, we don't care. And they're just breaking off chunk play after chunk play. And so Sam Darnold is playing well. He's playing efficient. Like, he's staying within that offense. Like, credits, again, like Steve Wilkes and Ben McAdoo, like, are really playing to this team's strengths. And so both guys, I mean, Foreman's rostered in almost every league, but Chuba Hubbard is still out there, and he's getting enough work, especially in PPR formats, where I think he's viable this week.
Yeah, Panthers just keep on pounding. We're going to keep pounding after the break. When we come back, wide receiver waivers, including Detective Drake London.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.